James Swanwick. What's up?
Larry, so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. It's been a minute since you've been on the show. I'm gonna actually have to Google James Swanwick and the Good Dad Project, 'cause that's what it was when you came on the first time. I think you were on like the very first year we did this.
Yeah. You're bringing back the old timers.
Yeah, yeah, but for good reason, right? When they've got good messages. So you're actually talking to me from where?
I'm in Brisbane, Australia at the moment. When you and I last saw each other in person, we were in Dallas, Texas at a Tony Robbins event. So it's been about 7 years.
It has been a very, very long time, and so let's bring for the audience who has not listened to that show. And by the way, we'll actually put that old show in the show notes for anybody who wants to go back and listen to some of the old stuff that we've done. Bring everybody up to speed on basically who you are, what you do, and what your quote unquote family looks like.
Yeah, so I help people to have a better relationship with alcohol. So I help high achievers, entrepreneurs, fathers, dads, husbands to either significantly reduce their drinking or to actually stop entirely. And I do that in a really fun, empowering way, as opposed to, say, a traditional method like AA, which is associated with being quite dark and depressing at times. And then I also help people to sleep better. I have a sleep company called Swanwick Sleep, and we produce blue light blocking glasses with the orange lens and the clear lens. And we can talk a little bit about that as a sleep hack as we move on here. But yeah, my two main passions are helping people to gain control of alcohol and to sleep better. I'm Australian American. I'm in Australia at the moment, but I lived in America for about 20 years. My partner and my partner has a 7-year-old son, and I am I guess, a father figure to him, which has been a really rewarding experience. And and yeah, I think that's a good overview.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast because when I saw your team reached out to us, and especially around these two these two topics. So just take the easy one first, right? Easy one, not so easy, which is sleep. That is truly the foundation of our entire health and how we operate, right? And I'm excited to talk about that. The one theme though that constantly comes up over and over and over again, been doing this now for years and working with men, is their relationship with alcohol. And a lot of men, they're really in the weeds with that. And it's interesting that you bring up AA, right? I mean, I think there's been a lot of success stories that have come out of AA, but there has been, I've heard rumblings of feedback around just sometimes the overall maybe feeling that people have, in meetings and that kind of thing. And some are very, very positive, and some are not so positive. But I'm interested when you say you do this in a fun way. How do you make this fun?
Mm. Yeah, just to speak to the AA part first. If you actually Google AA actual success rate, you'll find numerous articles about studies that show that AA's success rate is about 7%. So that's about a 93% failure rate of folks who go to AA attempt to stop drinking. Now that's eyebrow raising for many people. I saw you were quite surprised with that visibly when I shared that.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I am very supportive of AA's mission to help people stop drinking. However, in my opinion, it is completely ineffective for most people. Now, that's 7% who it is effective for. No doubt that's helped millions of people. They should be applauded, rewarded, celebrated. Fantastic. It's helped millions of people over decades. But it hasn't worked for 10 times as many people. Actually, more than 10 times as many people. 15 times as many people. So if 12 people, let's just round it down to 12, a dozen people. If 12 people walk into an AA meeting and it's only going to work for 1 out of the 12, but it's not going to work for 11 out of 12, is it that effective? should we continue to live this world where we think that AA is the only way to stop drinking if you've recognized that your drinking is a problem? And so I'm, I get actually very publicly criticized by social media. I call them trolls, but let's just call them enthusiasts, who go to AA, and it's worked for them, and that's amazing. But they call me all types of different names because I simply point out the statistics, which have been published numerous times. And so I don't want to be hanging out with a bunch of people who are like calling me names and abusing me. I want life to be fun and simple and easy. So to answer your question, I have designed a process. I have a program which is called Project 90, and I walk people through 90 days of being alcohol free in a really fun and empowering way. And you asked me, how do you do it? It's fun and empowering. Well, I encourage people and I show people how to choose an alcohol-free lifestyle as opposed to saying no or rejecting alcohol. There's a very fundamental difference there, because if you say no to something, it's like, oh, I can't drink, I don't want to drink, I need to stop drinking, then you're going to focus on that very thing, which is the drinking, and then you'll tend to actually be more likely to drink. Plus, you also feel like you're in a prison, right? Because it's like, oh, I can't drink, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to stop drinking for 30 days. And if you feel like you're in a prison, then what do prisoners want to do? They want to break out of prison. So then what happens is you have these, I think that they're wonderful ideas, these like dry January and sober October and stop drinking for 30 days. I mean, it's great in the sense that it gives people a glimpse of what it's like to live alcohol free, but they're not great because on day 30, they go and celebrate by drinking excessively. So what I do is I demonstrate to people through a very significant process of, hey, let's choose the alcohol-free lifestyle. Let's do it amongst a group of like-minded people. Let's hold them accountable to achieve goals over our time together. Let's make it fun. Let's show you how to socialize and network and do business deals without drinking. Let's give you practical tools on how to be alcohol free and what to say to friends who are saying, go on, just have a drink. And cumulatively over our time together, people come out the other end going, they get to day 90 and they're like, I want to keep going. And I've had folks now who've gone years being alcohol free and loving life.
That is really, when we first started talking about AA, I can only imagine the amount of criticism that you probably get when you share these statistics. I've known people who've gone through AA and they swear by it, like literally the lifeline that they experienced through AA. But I definitely understand without a shadow of a doubt, that which we focus on grows, right? It's really interesting that you talk about this feeling of being in prison, deprivation. There was a coach that I know online who I'm pretty good friends with, and he posted something saying like, what is one bad habit you wish you could remove from your life? And a lot of people posted and commented on his post. And I said, let me position something a different way here. And it's funny that you even bring up alcohol. I said, as soon as we remove whatever it is that is challenging us, maybe, and I use the actual example, alcohol, that very thing becomes the number one temptation to fall back into, because what we focus on expands. And what we remove, we are more tempted, because the brain doesn't hear, I can't have alcohol. All it really hears is alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. And, if you think I'm crazy, just think of a large elephant in your front yard wearing a pink hat. I've actually, let me rephrase that. No matter what you do, don't think of a large elephant in your front yard wearing a pink hat. No matter what you do, don't think of that. And of course, that's exactly what you focus on, is that elephant wearing the pink hat. So instead, focusing on what can I create, instead, how can I improve my health, my mental clarity, my sleep, my relationships, all these things that come with the removal of alcohol. But if we focus on the alcohol, then it's only going to probably become more of a temptation versus the other things. I'd really love to know, why do you think that is? I mean, and I don't know who published the statistics of 93%, but why do you think that failure rate is so high?
Two main reasons. One, it focuses on shame, your problems, the past, uh, having to surrender to a higher power. It basically, when you walk into an AA meeting, you have to surrender to this disease that you have. I call BS on that for most people. Okay. I call BS on that for most people. I don't want to be surrendering to anything. I don't want to be surrendering to a higher power. I don't want to be acknowledging that I am helpless against this drug, against this disease. I mean, what are you talking about is the way I look at that. Now, again, I know for the 7% of people, for them, it's everything and it works. Terrific. But for 93% of people, of who I'm one of those 93%, I'm like, that's not working for me. Like I don't want to feel powerless. I want to feel powerful. I want to be empowered. The other big thing is AA is free. And people always go, a lot of people call me a snake oil salesman because I charge, for my services. It's a sizable investment to do my Project 90 experience. And in my professional opinion, and this is based on being a coach now for a decade and actually hiring mentors and doing coaching programs myself and investing money, when I pay attention. And when something is free, I don't value it as much. So one of the biggest criticisms I get from AA supporters who troll me on social media is AA is free, dude. They use the word dude or bro or something like that, or that they're talking to other people who are in the social media comments, on one of my posts, for example, and they'll say, "Don't listen to this snake oil salesman guy. AA is free." And I'm like, well, exactly, it's free, and that's why it has a 7% success rate, because it's so easy just to stop or to quit, not go, because you don't value it. And there's not much to value there anyway, in my opinion, for most people. I want to be clear. I'm saying for most people, because like I said, I do support its mission, and I'm thrilled that people have changed their lives because they've used that process. Anything that works, I am a thumbs up. You go for it. Okay. That's why I'll always say for most people. So you asked me, why do you think that has such a low success rate and a high failure rate? Because it's steeped in shame and it's depressing. Because you got to surrender to a higher power, which I don't want to do, and I'm sure most people don't want to do. And because it's free. Free is not good. Free is ineffective for most people. So, you do my course, you do my experience, you do someone else's, you want to be paying because when you pay attention.
That makes a lot of sense. I want to talk a little bit, and I agree with you. When it comes to mentors and coaching and groups and community, I've been doing this now for almost 7 years as far as coaching and masterminding. And every once in a blue moon, I'll have a guy, ask me, well, why do you charge for your mastermind? And I'm like, why wouldn't we charge for the mastermind? Like, well, you should make it free. And my argument is, well, not my argument, because I don't argue with it, is exactly what you just said. And if you don't believe me, when you go to hire your personal trainer, if you want to improve your health, and that personal trainer says, I actually don't charge for services, it's all free. Number one, what's your show up rate going to be to your sessions? How hard are you going to work? And how are you going to behave and eat and take your nutrition seriously in between your sessions? Because when people are paying, I don't know what personal trainers are charging these days, but call it $65 to $150 an hour. There's significant skin in the game. that not only are you going to show up early so you can warm up, so you can have that 45 to 60 minutes all for your workout. Not only do you expect your trainer to give you all of that time, and when you're not with that trainer, you're going to probably take your nutrition very, very seriously because you have someone who's holding you accountable to the results that you're paying them to get. Right. And let's be real here too. Paying for something is not just financial. You're paying with your, like you said, attention, your time, which I honestly believe is more valuable than your money. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. So time is an investment as well. As far as the higher power goes, what's your stance on when you say giving up to a higher power? I want you to explain what that means to you, or maybe in your experience means.
Well, it's very God based in AA. So the higher power is you surrendering to God, and it's in my view, my experience, the way I see it is that it's encouraging, I think, victimhood. It's encouraging the kind of behavior. It's like, oh, I can't really do anything about this. I'm going to surrender to this higher power. I'm helpless. I've got this affliction. This disease is inherent inside of me. I just have this, genetically inclined reaction or response to alcohol. I can't help it. I was born like this. And again, I'm just like, BS. I'm the opposite. I'm like, that is just encouraging and supporting victimhood. I'm all about empowering behavior, about choosing your life. Let me give you one example here. Most men and women, most parents, okay, most parents will say, I would die for my kids. I would literally die for my kids. And that's fair enough, right? They'll declare that very proudly. I would die for my kids. Here's the next question though. Would you get healthy for them? Most of the time, the answer is no. It's crazy. Think about that. You're willing to die for your kids, but you're unwilling to actually make good nutritional mobility choices in your life that will give you clarity and focus and help you sleep better and be less irritable and to be more energetic so you can feel more connected and do more things with your children, so you can be more present, so you can have a harmonious relationship with your wife or your husband. So parents, oh yeah, I'll die for my kids. Oh, you're such an amazing person. I clap my hand. Well done. I salute you. You're willing to get healthy? Oh no, that's no, not willing to get healthy. No, I'm going to keep on drinking. I'm going to keep on making these choices that put a strain on my marriage and have my children watch me fight with my wife or my husband. Oh no, I'm too tired to play with my kids. Let me pour another glass of wine or have some more beer. So that's what I don't like. Or that's what it's true, I don't like it, but that's what I think is ineffective, is probably a better way of saying it about AA versus what I have created. And by the way, our success rate inside of Project 90, which our organization is called Alcohol Free Lifestyle, we have a 92% success rate of getting our clients to at least 90 days alcohol free on their first attempt at doing so, and an almost 100% success rate at getting them to at least 90 days alcohol free on no more than 3 attempts. Over the years, we have had a couple people, well, sorry, more than a couple. We've had a handful of people who haven't quite made it, but we've had hundreds of people who've just absolutely smashed it and are still alcohol free years later.
Why do you, in your experience, how long have you been doing this for?
Since 2015.
Okay. So over the past 7 years, you've really gotten to know people and probably maybe even the why behind why they drink. What have been some of the most common themes of why people drink so much?
Well, what they will tell you is their job is stressful, their relationship is strained, the kids are causing them problems, they don't have enough money, life is hard. And so that's why they drink. That's what they'll tell you. These are all, alcohol is just a band-aid, right? Alcohol is, they're using this as a band-aid to cover up inherent challenges that they feel that they have. They'll also say, oh, it's so hard because everyone drinks. Oh, I got the after work drinks. Oh, but I go out and I network with people and go to business dinners. I mean, I've got high net worth folks who do real estate deals and real estate investing and do big deals. And they'll go out on boat cruises and corporate golf days. And it's like, oh, everyone's drinking. You know, everyone's just part of the thing. I can't not drink. And again, I just go, well, let me call BS on that. What are you talking about? I haven't drunk since 2010. I seem to be doing business deals and socializing and doing corporate golf days and going on boats. And I mean, nobody would accuse me of being dull or different or vastly different, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason that this whole thing came about in the first place was because I was living in the Hollywood Hills in 2014, 2015, and I was going to the most hedonistic Hollywood parties that you can imagine. I mean, I was going to the Playboy Mansion, hanging out with Hugh Hefner and Pamela Anderson and Playmates, and I was going to Hollywood Hills parties where there were open bars, there were people doing drugs, there was just beautiful models and fancy people. I was going to the Golden Globes and the Oscars and the MTV Music Awards. I mean, I really lived in the heart of that entertainment industry, you know, around 2013, 2016. And I was alcohol free and drug free the whole time, having an absolutely amazing time and loving it. I saw people getting drunk and doing drugs, and I just kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool. But I was just drinking my soda water ice and a piece of lime. But guess what? I was still dancing on a table at the Playboy Mansion. And I was still networking with people in Hollywood. So, you know, I mean, if I can do that alcohol free and love it and look back on it so fondly and just be completely engaged and present at those, you know, hedonistic events, then a middle-aged father in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s can be alcohol free at a damn corporate golf day and have fun and be the most engaging person there and do a deal and be energetic enough for his children and present for his wife and mobile and fit and healthy and have a positive outlook on life. But all of these BS excuses, oh, I can't do it because of this, it's so hard. I mean, it's not that hard once you follow a simple process and once you make it fun and once you stop making it feel like deprivation and like you're in a prison if you got to stop.
So how do you do that? How do you make it fun and not feel deprived?
Yeah, well, first thing is during our process, we create a like-minded group of people. So our community is for at least the 90 days that they're with us is more about who's not in the group than who is in it. So for example, we don't let teenagers come in. We don't let folks in their 20s come in. You have to be at least 30 years old. You've got to be a professional, which means you've got to either have a business or you've got to be an executive or, you know, have a decent enough job, I guess, a steady job. Most of the folks that join us are parents, either fathers or mothers. And so when people get in that like-minded group of people and they can associate, and all of those people that they associate with have a common goal, then things become a lot easier and simpler and fun. Now, contrast that with you go to an AA meeting and you might be, let's just say you're a 40-year-old father of two, and you walk in there and now all of a sudden you're listening to a 22-year-old talk about how he goes out to nightclubs every weekend and downs shots and takes models home and has sex with them. And how can you relate to that? You can't relate to that, right? It's completely different. So the first thing is creating a container of like-minded people. The second thing is I like to think I'm a pretty fun guy. So we do fun exercises. Like we get people to talk about their bucket lists and what they want to do. And we have people write down things that were funny that took place in the previous week and what things make them laugh. And we have them associate laughter and fun with being alcohol free. So some people will say, I love going to comedy shows. And I go, great. I want you to go to a comedy show this weekend. I want you to laugh, have fun, and I want you to only order soda, water, ice, and a piece of lime. And I still want you to laugh. And they go, okay. And they go there with resistance, but then they come back on the following call and they go, oh my God, I just had a fabulous time. It was wonderful. And we have a little thing where we kind of make fun of each other a little bit, just in a really fun kind of way. So we, you know how the Joker in the Batman movies is like, why so serious? We kind of bring that energy of like, why is everyone so serious about this drinking thing? Just be lighthearted, have some fun. Let's make fun of each other. Someone make fun of me. Come on. I want someone to smash me. And then they'll start to like make fun of me about things and I'll start to laugh and everyone will laugh. And so then people get off that call because we meet on a Zoom call, like it's all virtual. They'll get off the call and they'll be like, that was fun and that was funny. And then their brains, the neurons in their brains start to associate fun and good times and laughter with being alcohol free. I also invite them not to pull away from social engagements during their time with us, but to run towards social engagements where there's a bar, where there's alcohol. And I have them do very practical things to be the most engaging person in the room, to have the most fun, to start to associate fun and laughter and engagement and presence with anything but alcohol. Then there's a whole lot of other practical things that we walk through, but you walk into a room and the culture is like, hello, all right, how was your week? Tell us about your week. What were the wins? All right, terrific. As opposed to AA, which is like, who'd like to share? Hi, my name's James and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, James. Oh, my life is terrible. Everything's sucky, etc., etc., etc.
I got to tell you, yeah, if you ever want to be effective with anything, like we have a mastermind we've been doing now for 6 years, almost 7, called Dad Edge Alliance, and we always try to make it fun, funny, make the guys laugh, because anytime you're doing some kind of personal development thing, you can take it seriously, right? But you also should have some fun with it, add some humor to it, which I think is super effective. I love how you also challenge people to run into the burning building instead of away from it, right? Which I think is, and to have that boldness and that confidence to be like, no, go towards it. Don't try to avoid it, like run towards it. And I love the comedy club example as well. Just getting people those initial wins, I think, is so important. Let me ask you this though. What if you have a situation, and this is a dad show, right? So let's just say, what if you have a situation where maybe your wife drinks and maybe you drink, but maybe you're feeling this pull to be like, you know what? I don't know if I want to continue to drink, or maybe I want to change my relationship with alcohol, or maybe I want to do a 90-day challenge where I'm not drinking, but the guy is afraid to do that because he doesn't want to maybe impact the relationship with his wife or offend her. Or maybe he has this perception of like, well, if I'm not doing this, then is she going to feel threatened in some way? Is the relationship going to feel weird? But changing just that one dynamic, I'm sure you've had this situation come in with both men and women, that if one person stops drinking, what is that going to do? And what's been your experience?
Well, I would invite that gentleman to impact the relationship. Rather than being scared about impacting the relationship, I say, yes, impact the relationship. Make it 100 times better than it is. You be the best man that you can be, and the relationship should elevate. And if your partner, in this example that you gave me, if your partner is your wife and she's feeling uncomfortable about it, well, that's on her. That's her responsibility. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to be the best husband and to be the best father and to be the best man that you can be. And I promise you, being the best man and husband that you can be involves you living an alcohol-free lifestyle, not an alcohol-fueled lifestyle. Now, we do walk our clients through practical steps and conversations that you can have with your wife or husband on how you will, communicate the fact that you've made this choice to be alcohol-free. But it doesn't have to be this whole like big extravaganza where it's like, well, I've just got to tell you, I've got a big announcement to make. I've decided to stop drinking. It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing. It can just be you stop drinking and you start to show up in a amazing way, as opposed to what you may have deemed to be a mediocre way. I mean, I've had people save marriages because they have chosen to live an alcohol-free lifestyle. Their wife says, wow, I finally got my husband back again. There's a guy called Joe Worley, he's a client of mine. He won't mind me using his name because he's been in all kinds of public-facing testimonials. He says in his video testimonial, my wife said to me, wow, I finally got my husband back. He lost 30 pounds. He was more present, more attentive. He started taking his wife out on a weekly date night. They drank soda water. She had a glass of wine. He didn't drink. Everything was fine. Everything was better. So again, your responsibility is to be the best man you can be. And when that happens, the relationship almost always improves. And then what else happens is that your partner will now feel inspired. Often this happens. Often will feel inspired by your change, to the point where it will rub off on them and they'll start to make changes in their own life. And if they don't, and they stay where they are and a big chasm starts to build, well, then maybe that relationship isn't serving you. It's okay if you've noticed that as a result of you growing and your partner isn't growing, that maybe you're not suitable. I've had people who've got divorced because they went alcohol free. Like, I don't want to paint this picture that everything's going to be, I mean, everything will be far more beautiful than what it is, but that may also involve you getting a divorce or breaking up with someone or attracting a higher caliber mate or relationship. So I guess the way just to sum all that up is stop focusing on how it's going to impact your partner. Just focus on you being the best man you can possibly be.
Yeah. Let's take this a little deeper, because I think that this could be, if we don't give men just a little bit more specifics. By the way, it's been fantastic so far, but I'm thinking throughout examples of men that I've worked with, either personally or in our community, and just some actual real things that have happened. So let's just take this one step further, and for specificity's sake, let's just say that a man comes to a moment where he's like, you know what? I'm going to change my relationship with alcohol. This is a personal decision. I'm married. I've got a couple of kids, all that good stuff. It's a personal decision. I'm just going to stop for right now, and whatever that looks like. And let's go to a date night with your wife, or maybe that man that same evening sitting on his deck with his wife, where they normally have a glass of wine or a couple of drinks as they sit out on their deck every single night. And now he goes to that time where they're going to spend time together, whether it's a date or sitting out on the deck, and she pours a drink and he doesn't. And now she's going to be like, well, aren't you going to have a drink with me? What does he say?
No, I'm
right.
not.
Right. I get that. but like, how could he?
Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
The way in which you communicate to your spouse that you're not drinking is far more important than what you say. Okay. So how you say it is the most important thing. What you say is the least important thing.
Okay.
So let me give you two examples.
Perfect.
Example A. No, I'm not drinking. No, I've got a problem, and no, I'm doing this 90-day thing. I'm on day 30. I've got 60 days to go. I know. I want to have a drink with you. I'm sorry. I know, but I just got another 30 days to do this thing. I got to stop. I need to stop. And then the wife comes back with, "You'll be fine. Just have one. You don't have a problem. What are you talking about? But we always share this." And then your response is, "No, I'm doing this. I need to do this. I have to do this. I can't. Like, why you don't drink around me, okay? Because I need to do this. If you really cared about me, then you wouldn't drink around me, etc., etc., etc." Like, that's an example, okay, of what I would invite you not to do. Like, that's an example. And the reason why you're getting into a debate with your wife in this example is because of the energy you brought to it, right? Because you're apologizing, you're filled with shame, you're using language like "I need to," "I have to." It's very heavy. You're convincing your wife in this example that you are depriving yourself of something that you would ordinarily choose. And you're also convincing yourself that you're depriving yourself of one of life's pleasures. Like, oh, of course you're going to sit on the porch and drink wine with your wife. But the way that you've brought that energy is deprivation. You need to, you have to. Let me give you option B here, right? Example B, different energy this time. Your wife offers you a wine. "You know what? I'm actually going alcohol free at the moment." She says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling really good actually. I'm just going to drink soda water for a while. I've wanted to lose some weight, and I've been losing some weight and feeling clearer. But let's sit out here and enjoy it. You go right ahead. Let me pour the wine for you, and I'm going to pour myself a soda water, and let's enjoy this beautiful time. Geez, I love spending this time with you. This is amazing." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean? But we always share a wine." "Yeah, I know, sweetie. I know we always share a wine, but I think let's just share the experience and the moment together. I'm going to drink my soda water, and I'm actually feeling really good. I'm actually feeling really good about this. But I want you, like, you keep on doing you. I'm not thinking, there's no judgment, whatever. I'm loving the fact that you're loving your wine, and I'm loving being here with you." Now you see how that's a completely different energy. Now,
Totally.
the words that I said are kind of not as important. It's the energy. I'm saying it with the smile. I'm saying it with a grin on my face. I'm saying it in a very loving and supportive kind of way. I'm not judging her for drinking. I'm not explaining. I'm not feeling like I've got to justify my choice. I'm just saying, here is my choice. I love it. And I love you, whatever choice you make. And it's not about drinking wine on the porch. It's about the experience of us spending time together on the porch.
I love that, man. Even as you talked through that, like, I really, really felt it landed with me differently. Like, even though I knew we were somewhat quote unquote role playing, right? But it landed for me differently versus, like, even the energy and the way you explained it the first time, it brought me down. Even though I was the one who wasn't in that particular role, I wasn't the one that felt deprived. But the way you said it, I felt like the temperature in the room went down. The second example, it made me feel inspired, and it actually got me curious and I wanted to ask more questions of, like, well, what do you mean you're feeling better? Tell me more about that. Or, like, yeah, you are losing weight. So how are you feeling? Like, it made me very curious to ask you, well, how are you overcoming any type of temptation? So I wanted to actually, it made me want to expand on the conversation even more, because I quite frankly, I felt inspired by it. So I like that a lot. It's all through the lens of uh, deprivation versus elevation. Right. So that's awesome, man. I want to switch gears just a little bit, unless you want to share one or two things more about alcohol, but I do want to talk to you about sleep, because this is obviously an important element for our health as men. But before we jump into sleep, is there anything that we haven't talked about as it pertains to alcohol?
Just a couple of things I would say is, I view alcohol as attractively packaged poison. And I'd like to invite you and your listeners to look at alcohol through the lens of its attractively packaged poison. There is zero nutritional benefit to alcohol at all. Zero. Zero. Yet cultural conditioning has us believe that this thing that we consume is this all high and mighty, beautiful, pleasurable thing that we have to drink wine to create romance, that we have to drink beers to watch the game with the guys, that we have to drink champagne to toast the bride and groom at a wedding. Why do we think all of this? Well, because very, very clever marketers at wine companies, beer companies, and champagne companies have associated fun and pleasure and celebration with alcohol. It's nothing. It's crap. It's piss. It's attractively packaged poison. That's all it is. And when you start to look at it through that lens, it's kind of like the Matrix movie, you know, like the blue pill or the red pill. Once you see it, you can't go back. And you start to see it everywhere. You start to see it when you walk into a restaurant and these smiling assassins are coming at you from everywhere. The smiling assassins are the waiter or the waitress who greet you and say, "Hello, Larry. Welcome. Can I get you started with some drinks? Cocktails. What would you like? Here's the drinks menu." And they're smiling at you, but they're assassins, because as soon as you drink that, your sleep's compromised, you put on weight, you're more prone to eat carb-laden foods, you're guaranteeing that you'll have irritability the next day. So I just invite you to look at alcohol through a completely different lens. The other thing I would say is I have a podcast in Apple Podcasts and on Spotify called Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. We've touched on a few things here, but I'm very specific and giving very specific teachings on how you can have a better relationship with alcohol and practical tools on how to deal with societal pressures in a lot of the episodes on that podcast. So I just invite you to check that out if this subject speaks to you.
One quick question. Why is it we have more cravings for carb-laden foods when we drink?
Yeah, because when you drink alcohol, your body turns it into sugar, and the more sugar you have, the more body craves sugar. So it's like when you're at a restaurant, if you don't order alcohol, you're less likely to order dessert. But when you drink alcohol, you are more likely to order dessert. Isn't that fascinating? So even though you've had less digestibles, I guess, like just say you've had an appetizer, you've had a main, but you haven't drunk alcohol, the dessert menu comes around, you're more likely to say, "Oh no, I'm good, thanks." You're actually more likely to feel full. But if you have the appetizer and the main and you have alcohol, like a beer or two or a glass of wine, because your body is now turning that into sugar, your body then craves more of that very thing. And then when the dessert menu comes around, you're like, "Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, that sounds good. I definitely want to have dessert." So it makes your drinking alcohol makes you increases your appetite. So not only do you tend to eat more food that you ordinarily would not have eaten, the type of food that you eat is also of lower quality. I'm sure anyone can attest to that. I remember living in London, going out in my 20s, late night after some drinks. I always wanted to hit the Turkish kebab store at the train station just before I got on the train home, and smash like the garlic kebab with the garlic sauce. It's
Yeah, man, it's crazy. The cravings for foods, especially if you're a health conscious person, right?
right.
Cravings for the foods that you would never eat. Jim Gaffigan has just such a hilarious skit on that, where like you just never eat McDonald's, like ever, right? And then you go out partying, you pass one, you're like, well, it's late, and those French fries sound really good. So, go through the drive-through. I'll just get a little. But yeah, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you cleared that up, and I'm glad we talked about that. As far as sleep goes, now sleep, I think, is one of the things. If you look on social media, and you look at, like, for instance, like the hustle, the grind, sleep 4 hours, like just go go go, hustle hustle, grind, and you'll sleep as much, you'll sleep when you're dead, and that kind of thing. Like, it's really popular to deprive yourself and show people how you're depriving yourself. But when it comes to sleep deprivation, and let's just call it optimizing your health with good quality sleep, what is the rule of thumb for how much sleep, like, we even need these days? Is it 5 hours? Is it 9 hours? Where are we at?
Generally, we want to be getting around at least 7 hours of quality sleep. Not 7 hours of sleep, but 7 hours of quality sleep. Now, look, there are people who can go on 5 hours and 6 hours of sleep. There are people who can go on 4 hours of sleep. There are anomalies in the world. However, those same people who are going on 4 or 5 hours of sleep tend to not be as healthy as people who are sleeping 7 hours. So this whole cultural concept, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'll hardly sleep. I mean, I'm not impressed. And you shouldn't be impressed, and society shouldn't be impressed by those people. Because while it's true that some of them may, in fact, get a lot of stuff done, it's coming at a very, very high price. And my view is that you can get more done and be more effective by sleeping the way that nature always intended you to sleep. And the way that nature intended us to sleep was at least 7 or 8 hours of high quality sleep. Your work is severely compromised. Your ability to focus, your ability to strategize, to make sound decisions in your business, if you own a business, or decisions for your family. All of those decisions are severely compromised if you are poorly slept. So I am unimpressed by anyone who's boasting about how little sleep they have. I just think to myself, why are you compromising your life like that? Why? It makes no sense to me. So really focusing on not just the duration of your sleep, but the quality of your sleep can really have a monumental impact in your financial life, in your family life, in your overall feeling of well-being, your mental health. It's all tied in together.
So what is quality sleep? Can you define it for us?
It's spending the amount of time that our body wants to spend in the deep restorative phases of sleep. But here's the thing, and this ties a little bit back to alcohol as well. And if you like, I'm happy to walk you through what I consider to be the gold standard of sleep, which is what you can do morning, noon, and night to make sure that you have the best night's sleep. I'll get to that in just a second. But I lost my chain of thought. What was I starting to say before I came back to that?
So you were talking about the deep quality sleep.
Oh, yes.
Restful sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you drink alcohol, then your body doesn't spend as much time in that deep restorative phase of sleep because your liver is now going to work to break down the toxins. If you eat within 3 hours of bedtime, your body is now going to work to digest the food, which means you don't spend as long in that deep restorative phase of sleep. Everything you think you know about good sleep is probably wrong. Not everything, but let's just say many things that you think you know about what what equals a great night's sleep is probably wrong. So that brings me to the gold standard of sleep. What is it? Would you like me to just walk you through that?
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome.
Okay. So here's what you do morning, noon, and night to ensure you get a great night's sleep. First thing in the morning when you wake up is expose yourself to natural sunlight as quickly as possible within 20 minutes of waking. Our skin has receptors in it. And when the sunlight hits our skin, it tells our internal body clock, which is called our circadian rhythm, this is daytime. The body then starts to flood with daytime hormones. Cortisol starts to flood through the system. We start to feel energetic. We start to wake up. The timer is now on. 16 hours later, your body will then naturally want to start creating melatonin to help you prepare and ultimately fall asleep. But most people today will wake up in the morning and stay indoors and not expose themselves to natural light. And so the body and the brain is like, is it daytime? Is it nighttime? I'm not quite sure. The time is not quite on. The body clock's a little bit confused, which is going to impact how you sleep later on that night. So first thing in the morning, expose yourself to as much natural sunlight as possible. Studies show that people who exercise in the morning tend to sleep better than those who exercise at lunchtime or nighttime. They did a study at I think it's the pronunciation is Apakalan University, and they studied people who exercised at 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. And what they found is that the folks who exercised at 7 a.m., their sleep was vastly, noticeably better than those who slept at 1 p.m., those who exercised rather at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. They think it's because of two reasons. One, people who exercise in the morning tend to exercise more regularly in general anyway, because it's the first thing they do. They get it out of the way. Life doesn't get in the way where they put it off. And people who exercise regularly or consistently tend to be healthier overall because they've got weight management, their stress and anxiety drops. All of these things tend to lend themselves to a great night's sleep. The closer you exercise to bedtime, the higher your core body temperature rises. And we actually want a really cool body temperature for optimal sleep. Okay, so the second thing is, if you can, exercise in the morning. Coffee is a stimulant, no matter how you look at it. And if you are drinking a stimulant or consuming a stimulant within 8 hours of sleep, your sleep will be compromised. So if you're planning on going to sleep at 8 p.m., you better be having your last coffee by 12 p.m. Likewise, if you want to go to sleep at 10 p.m., no coffee after 2 p.m. I do not care about anyone who says, oh, I have a cappuccino or whatever as a post-dinner, treat every night, and I fall asleep just fine. I don't care. Your sleep will be compromised. You may be able to fall asleep just fine, but test your sleep with an Oura ring or some other kind of metric, and you will notice that your sleep is severely compromised because you've had caffeine within 8 hours of bedtime. So just cut that out. In relation to alcohol, you are better off having a beer or a wine for breakfast and letting the body get rid of the toxins throughout the day than you are drinking close to bedtime, because it takes like hours and hours and hours. It takes like 16 hours for those toxins to get out of your system. So while it's true that folks will definitely feel sleepier and they might actually fall asleep because they've had a glass of wine or a beer at nighttime, the quality of your sleep will be compromised because your body's now filled with toxins. Your liver's going to work when it's supposed to be resting. You don't spend as long in that deep REM restorative phase of sleep. So my view is just stop drinking. There are practical tools you can do that. Listen to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle podcast for more of those. But just cut that out. Shall I keep going? There's a few more.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely want you to cover. And so I know obviously you have, I think just about everybody on the planet are familiar with Swannies. I mean, I know I have a couple of them myself, but a lot of people don't really understand the detrimental effects I'm holding up my phone, of the blue light that comes off screens in general. So I definitely want you to cover that as well.
Yeah. So at nighttime, you want to block as much artificial light as possible. So in the morning, you want to expose yourself to as much natural sunlight, but at nighttime, you want to block as much artificial light as possible. Now, my company, Swanwick Sleep, we produce blue light blocking glasses. They're affectionately known as Swannies. They have an orange lens to them. I wear my blue light blocking glasses in the last hour before I go to sleep. I put the orange lens on. It blocks the blue light that's coming out of my cell phone, my TV screen, my computer laptop, my reading light, bathroom light, kitchen light, microwave light, refrigerator light, speedometer light, the traffic lights. There's so much artificial light. People mistakenly think that the only blue light that's damaging for them comes from their phone. No, it's all the things I mentioned. It's the McDonald's golden arches that you see as you drive down the freeway on the right-hand side or left-hand side. It's the traffic light, the street light, the microwave light, your alarm clock light. Ever been in a hotel room and that damn alarm clock light is just blasting at you? So you must wear a pair of quality blue light blocking glasses. Ours have been rigorously tested by the University of Washington, which was later published in Harvard University, the Harvard Journal, I should say, and the Applied Journal of Psychology. And what it showed was that people who wore Swannies blue light blocking glasses in the last hour before they went to sleep each night reported sleeping 14% better. And then the following day, their productivity increased by 9%. Can you imagine if you had a company and you've got a bunch of employees and you could get them to increase their productivity by 9%, you'd be making millions of dollars more. every single year in revenue stream. It's the most simplest Christmas gift or anytime gift that you could actually give your staff, is gifting them a pair of blue light blocking glasses, because they're going to sleep 14% better and they're going to be 9% more productive for you and your company. And when you wear these glasses, what I do is I put them on in the last hour or so before I go to sleep, and I only remove them once I've turned off the last light. What people mistakenly do is they wear the glasses, then they take them off and go to the bathroom and start brushing their teeth, exposing themselves to that light again. Whereas if they just leave them on, get into bed, turn off the light, and then remove the glasses and put them on their bedside table, that is the best way that you can protect your eyes. Now, what the blue light is actually doing to you if you do not protect your eyes is it's convincing your body and your brain that it's daytime, which means your body does not produce as much melatonin, which means the quality of your sleep becomes compromised. However, if you're the type of person who takes your phone to bed with you and you want to scroll and you're doing some late night Netflix or emailing or whatever, probably you shouldn't be doing that, but you're probably going to do it anyway, because, you know, we're all addicts. Wear a pair of glasses. I am biased, so, you know, I invite you to look around if you don't want to accept my obvious bias. But you know, our glasses, our Swannies blue light blocking glasses from Swanwick, are now worn by professional athletes at the Denver Broncos, the New York Knicks, Manchester United, the New Orleans Saints. Arnold Schwarzenegger wears the glasses. NBA stars, Chris Paul, etc. I mean, these are the real deal. These are the highest quality blue light blocking glasses you can get. And if pro athletes are using them because they're trying to squeeze out every last bit of performance they can, then maybe you should consider wearing those as well. The last thing I'll say, just on the gold standard of sleep, just to wrap this up now, is you want to sleep in a cool environment. So 68, 69 degrees Fahrenheit. So set your air conditioning if you can. And then also, I would also invest in a high quality sleep mask. We do have one at Swanwick Sleep. It's all silk. It retains the moisture in your skin. It's oversized. No light gets in. And then also blackout curtains, so the sun doesn't wake you up too early in the morning. You want to make sure you're getting, you know, at least 7 hours of quality sleep. And then rinse and repeat. Wake up, get sunlight, have your last coffee at 12. Don't drink. Don't eat within 3 hours of sleep. Wear your blue light blocking glasses at night. Do those, exercise in the morning. Do those things consistently, and you will notice a remarkable improvement in your sleep quality and your quality of life.
That is like a recipe for absolute success. I'm so glad you talked about not just the night sleep, but actually how to start it. I think that's probably a big misconception of sleep, is that it actually starts the moment that you wake up. Like your next successful night's sleep starts in the morning when you wake up. James, this has been awesome, man. It's been great to have you on. Great to have you back. What I'd love to do is give you an opportunity here to make sure that you can tell the audience where they can best find you, all your resources, everything that you're doing, so they can follow you on social or go find out more about your 90-day challenge.
Yeah. So in regards to the sleep and the glasses, we're at swanwicksleep.com. It's spelled Swanwick, SWANWICK. We're also on Amazon as well. For those who wear prescription glasses, we've got fit overs that go over the top, or we can, you know, create a pair of prescription for you. And then Alcohol Free Lifestyle is the name of the podcast in Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, and you can just have a 15-minute chat with one of my coaches and see if or how we may be able to support you, if that's certainly your intention.
Outstanding. Well, guys, don't worry. You're not going to have to look hard for how to connect with James. All you have to do is head on over to thedadedge.com/379 for this show. Again, thedadedge.com/379. James, this was awesome, man. You're doing some good work in the world. I can tell you that, you know, you're doing this work with men, husbands, fathers for, you know, gosh, nearly a decade now. That these two elements are definitely something that I think are overlooked, as you know. a lot as it pertains to our overall health, well-being, productivity, mental clarity, focus, intentionality, connection with the people that we care about most. And it's usually the first thing that we sacrifice as it pertains to sleep. And then when we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, alcohol is usually the first place that we go. So I'm glad that we covered both. This has been awesome, man. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Larry. And thank you very much for having me.
You bet. Gentlemen, again, thedadedge.com/379. We're talking to James Swanwick. You can find everything we talked about today in the show notes. Gentlemen, go out, live legendary. Take care.